Vasudevaya. Canto 1, Text 23. एकोनविंशे विशति में वृष्णिषु प्राप्य जन्मनि रामकृष्णाविति भुवो भगवान् अहद भरम.
In the 19th and 20th incarnations, the Lord advented himself as Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna in the family of Vrishni, the Yadu dynasty, and by so doing, he removed the burden of the world.
Text 24. Tato kalo sampravite sammohaya sudvisham buddho namna anjana sut kikiteshu bhavishyati.
Then, in the beginning of Kali Yuga, the Lord will appear as Lord Buddha, the son of Anjana, in the province of Gaya, just for the purpose of deluding those who are envious of the faithful taste.
Thaso yug sandhayam dadasyu prayeshu rajasu janita vishnu yasaso namna kalki jagatpati.
Thereafter, at the conjunction of two yugas, the Lord of the creation will take his birth as the Kalki incarnation and become the son of Vishnu Yasa. At this time, almost all the rulers of the earth will have degenerated into plunderers.
Avatara hi asankheya hare sattva nidhe dvija yatha vidasina kulya sarasasyu sahasrasha.
O Brahmanas, the incarnations of the Lord are innumerable, like rivulets flowing from inexhaustible sources of water.
Shishyo manvo deva manuputra mahojasa kala sarve hare reva sapraja patya smrita.
All the rishis, Manus, demigods, and descendants of Manu, who are especially powerful, are plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. This also includes the Prajapatis.
Ite chanch kala punsa krishnastu bhagwan swayam indrari vyakulam lokam bridyanti yuge yuge.
All of the above-mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord. But Lord Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets whenever there is a disturbance created by the atheists. The Lord incarnates to protect the theists.
Janam goyam bhagavato ye etat priyato naraha sayam pratra gnan bhaktya dukh gramari vimuchyate.
Whoever carefully recites the mysterious appearance of the Lord with devotion in the morning and in the evening get relief from all miseries of life.
Etat rupam bhagavato he rupasya chidatmana maya gune virichitam mahadadi bhi atmani.
The conception of the Virat, universal form of the Lord, as appearing in the material world is imaginary. It is to enable the less intelligent and neophytes to adjust to the idea of the Lord having form. But factually, the Lord has no material form.
Yatha nabsi moghogo renu va parthivo nile evam drishyatvam aropitam buddhi bhi.
Clouds and dust are carried by the air, but less intelligent persons say that the sky is cloudy and the air is dirty. Similarly, they also implant material bodily conceptions on the spirit self.
Ata paramam yad avyakta ayudha gun brahmitam adrishta shut vastutva sa jivo yatpun bhava.
Beyond this gross perception of form is another subtle conception of form which is without formal shape and is unseen, unheard, and unmanifest. The living being has his form beyond this subtlety, otherwise he could not have repeated birth.
यस्त्रे में सद सदरूपे प्रतिष्ठिते स्वसंविदा अविद्याया आत्मनि कृते इति तद ब्रह्मदर्शनम्.
Whenever a person experiences by self-realization that both the gross and subtle bodies have nothing to do with the pure self, at that time he sees himself as well as the Lord.
यदि एषो परता देवी माया वैशारदी मते संपन्न एवेति विदुर महिम्नि स्वे महीयते.
If the illusory energy subsides and the living entity become fully enriched with knowledge by the grace of the Lord, then he becomes at once enlightened with self-realization and thus becomes situated in his own glory.
एवं जन्मानि कर्माणि हेय कर्तुर्जनस्य च वर्ण्यन्ते समकव्यो वेद गुह्यानि हितपते.
Thus, learned men describe the birth and activities of the unborn and inactive, which is undiscoverable even in the Vedic literatures. He is the Lord of the heart.
स वा इदं विश्वम् अमोघलीला सृजति अवतीयति न सज्जते अस्मिन् भूतेषु च अन्तर्हित आत्मतत्त्व षड्वर्गिकं जिगति षड्गुणेशा.
The Lord, whose activities are always spotless, is the master of the six senses and is fully omnipotent with six opulences. He creates the manifested universe, maintains them, and annihilates them without being in the least affected. He is within every living being and he is always independent.
नाचास्य कश्चिन्निपुणेन धातु एवेति जन्तु कुमनीषु उतहि नामानि रूपाणि मनोवचोभिः सन्तत्वतो नटचार्यम् इवाज्ञा.
The foolish, with a poor fund of knowledge, cannot know the transcendental nature of the forms, names, and activities of the Lord, who is playing like an actor in a drama. Nor can they express such things, neither in their speculations nor in their words.
वेद धातु पद्मिं परस्य दुरन्तवीरस्य रथाङ्गुपाने यो मायया सन्तत्या अनुवृत्त्या भजेत् तत्पादसरोज गन्धम्.
Only those who render unreserved, uninterrupted, favorable service into the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, who carries the wheel of the chariot in his hand, can know the creator of the universe in his full glory, power, and transcendence.
अथिया धन्या भगवन्त इत्थं यद्वासुदेवे अखिललोकनाथे कुर्वन्ति सर्व आत्मकम् आत्मभावं न यत्र भूया परिवृत् उग्रः.
Only by making such inquiries in this world can one be successful and perfectly cognizant, for such inquiries invoke transcendental ecstatic love into the personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of all the universes, and guarantees 100% immunity from the dreadful repetition of birth and death.
इदं भागवतं नाम पुराणं ब्रह्म संहितम् उत्तम श्लोकं चरितं चकार भगवान् ऋषि निशेषाया लोकस्य धन्यं स्वस्ति अयनं महत्.
This Srimad Bhagavatam is the literary incarnation of God. and it is compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of God. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people, and it is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect.
Tadidam grahayamasa sutam atmavatam varam sarva vedeti hasanam saram saram samudritam.
Sri Vyasadeva delivered it to his son, who is the most respected among the self-realized. After extracting the cream of all Vedic literatures and histories of the universe.
Satu sanshyavyamasa maharajam parikshitam prayo pravishtam gangayam paritam parmarishibhi.
Sukadev Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, in his turn delivered the Bhagavatam to the great emperor Parikshit, who sat surrounded by sages on the bank of the Ganges, awaiting death without taking food or drink.
कृष्णे स्वधाम पगते धर्म ज्ञानादिभिः सह कलो नष्ट दृशमेश पुराण को अधुनोतिता.
This Bhagavad Purana is as brilliant as the sun, and has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana.
तत्र कीर्त्यतो विप्रा विप्रेशे भूरि तेजसा अहं चाद्य गमं तत्र निविष्टस्तद् अनुग्रहात् सोऽहं वा श्रविष्यामि यथाधीतं यथामति.
O learned Brahmanas, when Sukadev Goswami recited Bhagavatam there, in the presence of Emperor Parikshit, I heard him with rapt attention, and thus, by his mercy, I learned the Bhagavatam from that great and powerful sage. Now I shall try to make you hear and thus by his mercy I learned the Bhagavatam from the great and powerful sage. Now I shall try to make you hear the very same things as I learned it from him and as I have realized it.
Thus end the Bhakti Vedanta purport of the first canto, third chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Krishna is the source of all incarnations. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much
Hare
for
Krishna.
your wonderful recitation, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please unmute yourself. I will make you host now.
Yeah.
By mistake, I pressed mute for you. Oh, no. Prabhuji, please unmute.
Yes, I have.
Sorry. Okay, done. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Cha Eva Narottama Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Shavatam Swakataha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridyantasto hi abhadrani vidhunoti suhitsatam Nashtiprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati uttama shloke bhakti bhavati naistiki. Today we are reading from Canto 1, Chapter 3, verse number 39. So it's Canto 1, Chapter 3, verse number 39. Atheha dhanya bhagwant tham yad vasudeva akhila lokanathe. Atheha dhanya bhagwant itham yad vasudev akhila lokanathe. Kurvanti sarvatmakam atma bhavam na yatra bhuya parivratta graha. Kurvanti sarvatmakam atma bhavam na yatra bhuya parivarta graha. Ataha, thus, iha, in this world, dhanyaha, successful, bhagwantaha, perfectly cognizant, itham, such, yat, what, Vasudev, unto the personality of Godhead, Akhila, all-embracing, Lokhanathe, unto the proprietor of all the universes, Kuruvanti, inspires, Sarvatmakam, 100%, Atma, spirit, Bhavam, ecstasy, Na, never, Yatra, wherein, Bhuya, again, Parivartaha, repetition, Ugraha, dreadful. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Only by making such inquiries in this world can one be successful and perfectly cognizant. For such inquiries invoke transcendental ecstatic love unto the personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of all the universes and guarantee 100% immunity from the dreadful repetition of birth and death. Purport. Inquiries of the sages, headed by Shranak, are herewith praised by Sut Goswami on the merit of their transcendental nature. As already concluded, only the devotees of the Lord can know him to a considerable extent, and no one else can know him at all. So, devotees are perfectly cognizant of all spiritual knowledge. Personality of Godhead is the last word in absolute truth. Impersonal Brahman and localized Paramatma are included in the knowledge of the personality of Godhead. So one who knows the personality of Godhead can automatically know all about him, his multipotencies and his expansions. So the devotees are congratulated as being all successful. A 100% devotee of the Lord is immune to the dreadful material miseries of repeated birth and death. Om Jnanam Timirindasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Badam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishvanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhayevacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So 1339. Ateha Danya Bhagavanta Ittam Yad Vasudeva Kila Lokanathe Bhavam Nayatra Bhuya Parivarta Ugraha. Only by making such inquiries in this world can one be successful and perfectly cognizant. For such inquiries invoke transcendental ecstatic love unto the personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of all the universes, and guarantees 100% immunity from the dreadful repetition of birth and death. So we can see that how the sages of Naimisharanya have been putting forward their questions to Srila Suta Goswami. And these questions were to bring the benefit for the entire generations of humanity to come in the future. So here in this particular verse, there is an appreciation of all those inquiries, because such inquiries is being said will bring 100% immunity from the dreadful repetition of birth and death. That's a very, very commanding and authoritative statement. Someone may question, only an inquiry can bring end to birth and death? Yes, only an inquiry. And that is very much the beginning of the process of self-realization. We are all inquisitive by nature. The inquisitiveness is there in the little child. When a little child is growing up, he's asking hundreds and hundreds of questions, moment after moment. What is this? Why is this? Where is it? What about colors, about birds, about flowers, about things in the house, activities, anything and everything. The child is like absorbent, ready to receive all the information. And when that information is assimilated and comprehended, and then is taken as a knowledge base, we can see how this child grows up in a very nice adult because of those inquiries. Inquiries in itself is not enough. Inquiries in itself is just one part of the process. Then if you have to inquire, you must also have a qualified person to inquire. Now in Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has already spoken. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya updekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshiniya. Saying, try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. And what does it say? It says, inquire from them submissively and render service unto them. So part of the process is inquire from them. And how do we inquire? We inquire from them submissively, which means not in a challenging mood, but in a mood to understand like a child. Child does not challenge the adults. He does not come challenging. Okay, you are saying this is red color, but I think it is blue color. Why do you want to say it is a red color? Hmm? All of these kind of challenges are not there. Hmm? So child is inquiring very submissively. Similarly, a disciple approaches the spiritual master. Now, when we say disciple and when we say spiritual master, here we're not necessarily talking about a initiation process yet. We are just talking about that you find somebody qualified and you are inquiring from them submissively, you're rendering service unto them. And of course, having a having a great fortune to find such a qualified person, serve them, inquire from them, then taking proper diksha or initiation is of course the process in itself. Such people, it is said in Bhagavad Gita, can give you the knowledge of the self, of the Supreme, because they have seen the truth. Now, we also know Srila Prabhupada is often quoted from Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. He is often quoted that it's a purification process. The initiation in itself is a purification process. Adau Guruvashrayam tato sadharma prakshat sadhu marganugamanam marganugamanam Adau Guruvashrayam tato sadharma prakshat sadhu marganugamanam. It said in the beginning, one should accept the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master and inquire submissively about the religious principles. He should then desire to follow in the footsteps of the great devotee of the Lord. Now, we can see how this this verse is saying Sadharma Prakshata. We can get to know the eternal dharma. Dharma, Sadhu Marg Anugamanam. Sadhu Marg Anugamanam. So when we follow the footsteps of great saintly personalities, Anugamanam, following into the footsteps, Sadhu, the saintly personalities, and we understand that there are 12 Mahajans. There are 12 Mahajans that we know of. And that's also mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, canto 6th, chapter 3rd, and verse number 20. It says, Swayambur Narada Shambhu Kumara Kapilo Manu Prahlado Janako Bhishmo Balir Vyasakir Vayam. So Swayambur and Narada. Swayambhu is Lord Brahma himself, and Narada is coming in disciplic succession. So Swayambhu Narada. Uh, in that disciplic succession, of course, we have Vedavyasji, which is also another Mahajan. And in that disciplic succession, we have Sukadev Goswami and finally the Sud Goswami reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam. There are other Mahajans also, and we should know about them. Sambhu is Lord Shiva himself. Kumara, these are 4 Kumaras who are the sons of Lord Brahma. Kapila, Manu. Kapila is Lord Krishna, Lord's personal Lord's incarnation, Kapila Muni. And Kapila Manu. Now these are the Prajapatis, Manu Prajapati. Prahlad, we all know about Prahlad. Is one of the greatest devotees of the Lord, purest devotees of the Lord. Janako, this is Janak Maharaj. Bhishmo, this is Bhishma Dev of Mahabharat. Janak Maharaj is Ramayana. Balir, Bali Maharaj. Vayasaki, Vayam, Vayasaki, that's again Vyasadev. So of these 4 are very, very famous and or prominent rather, not famous. Swayambhu, which is Brahma, in which the parampara, Srila Prabhupada appeared, and he has given us Krishna consciousness. Brahmaji, Brahmanarad, Sampradaya. Then we have Shiva, Lord Shiva, Sambhu. Then we have Kumar Sampradaya. We also have Sampradaya originating from Lakshmi Devi. So all of these are coming into disciplic succession. And that's what it said. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena seveya uptekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattadarshiniya. Approach a spiritual master. Which spiritual master? Spiritual master who is coming into some sorts of sampradaya. If he's not coming into the sampradaya, then it is going to be very difficult because one has to surrender unto this sampradaya. Now, if a question is being asked by disciples and the disciple is not going to get a bona fide, authentic answer, Srila Prabhupada has pointed out that very soon the enthusiasm of the disciple will go away, and such a disciple will fall out from the path of self-realization. And so such gurus will also not be able to be so potent, and although they promise to take disciples back to Godhead, they will not be able to do because they are not coming into proper disciplic succession. And then both of them will be bogus, but ultimately there will be no result. Whereas when there is a bona fide spiritual master, and when there is a genuine inquiry, then when these inquiries are fulfilled, these questions are answered in a bona fide way, not in a way that one feels that whatever could be the answer, but in a way that the answers are coming from the scriptures, then that is very good. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada has quoted is one of his lectures. So I picked up this verse, 11.3.21, Srimad Bhagavatam. It says, Tasmad Gurum Prapadyate, Tasmad Gurum Prapadeta, Prapadeta Jigyasu Shreya Uttamam. Tasmad Gurum Prapadyeta, Jigyasu Shreya Uttamam. Shabde pare cha nishnatam, Shabde pare cha nishnatam, Brahmani upasamasharayam, Brahmani upashamashrayam, Shabde pare cha nishnatam, Brahmani upashama ashrayam. It says, therefore, any person who seriously desires real happiness must seek a bona fide spiritual master and take shelter of him by initiation. You see, initially there's an inquiry, and this inquiry is about the self, about the super soul, about the supreme, about the relationship, about how one can get out of this samsara chakra, samsara davanal. And how do we get out of this? And one's own identity, athata brahma jigyasa, identity of oneself, and also inquiring about the Supreme, Athata Brahma Jigyasa. When, therefore, any person who seriously desires real happiness, not the false happiness, not the happiness which is coming from the touch of the object senses, not that kind of happiness, which is transient, which is temporary, which will not last long, and which does not promise anything in the future. Rather, it takes one to the lower species of life, in the animal species of life, as per the law of incarnation. Not that happiness, because that happiness has no meaning for a spiritualist seeker, spiritual life seeker. Any person who seriously desires real happiness must seek a bona fide spiritual master. You see, this combination is very, very important. A seeker who is genuine and a spiritual master who is bona fide. If this combination happens, then a spark will occur. And we see in Srila Prabhupada's case that that is what has happened to the whole world. One personality is able to give Krishna consciousness to the entire world because of his connection with, he's coming into the disciplic succession, he's bona fide, and of course, whatever Srila Prabhupada came for as a missionary. And he says, and take shelter of him by initiation. Qualification of the bona fide guru is that He has realized the conclusion of the spiritual scriptures by deliberation. So it's very, very important. A spiritual master has already realized the conclusions of the scriptures. And how has he done it? By deliberation, which means he has really understood them theoretically, and he has applied them practically, and now he has realized them. And he is therefore able to convince others of these conclusions from the scriptures. And if one has deep faith in something, it's very easy for that person to transfer this faith to other people. But if one is himself or herself suspicious and not very sure, how can they transfer this faith to others? That is not possible. Therefore, it is being said in this verse that they are able to convince others by these conclusions. Such great personalities who have taken shelter of the Supreme Godhead, leaving aside all material considerations, should be understood to be a bona fide spiritual masters. So that is the definition of the spiritual master, that they have realized the truth by reading the scriptures, by deliberating on them, and they also have the capacity and potency to convince others of these conclusions, and they come in a disciplic succession. And in act of instruction, there is another verse that we all know that is given that Vacha Vegam Manasa Krodha Vegam Jivva Vegam Udarupastha Vegam Etan Veganeyo Vishaheta Dhira Sarvam Apimam Prithvim Sasashyat. One who can control the urge to speak. And urge means there's a force, there's a vague. Vague means force, huge force from within to speak, which is not related to Krishna consciousness. A sober person who can control the urge to speak the mind's demands, the actions of anger, and the urges of the tongue, belly, and genitals, is qualified to make disciples all over the world. Here also we see how a person who is in complete control of his senses and mind through his intelligence, which is utilized in the service of Krishna. That intelligence, which is 100% devoted to the service of the Lord. It is said that in this particular verse, when we were reading before, that 100%, 139, it said that I'll just read the translation. By making such inquiries, for such inquiries invoke transcendental ecstatic love unto the personality of Godhead, who is the proprietor of all the universes and guarantees 100% human immunity from the dreadful repetition of birth and death. Now, where is this 100% immunity coming from? This 100% immunity is coming from the fact that one is, okay, I can hear some sound vibration.
Prabhuji,
Hare
please unmute
Krishna,
yourself.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you. So, tasmadgurum prapadyeta jigyasu shreya uttamam shabde pare cha nishnatam brahmani upashamayashrayam. So, if we take shelter of such personality, who is free himself, who is a bona fide spiritual master, then we will develop this consciousness of serving Krishna and his devotees and his mission 100%. When that situation arises, we'll free ourselves from material contaminations also 100%. There's no in between. And what is said about such bona fide spiritual masters in Srimad Bhagavatam? In 11th canto, 17th chapter, 27th verse, Acharyam mam vijaneta, Acharyam mam vijanayan, navamanyeta karhichita. Namartha buddhya suveta sarvadeva mayo guruhu. One should know that Acharya as myself, Krishna is saying that, and never disrespect him in any way. One should not envy him, thinking him an ordinary man, for he is the representative of all the demigods. We can also say representative of all the gods. So now we see that in this case, where Sud Goswami is seated before the sages of Naimisharanya, we can imagine that how submissively they're putting their inquiry forward. They have a belief and faith that Sud Goswami, who has heard from Sukadev Goswami, has the answers for all their questions, because these questions are like mystery. They are mysterious. Nobody can understand the existence of soul, which is existing within the body, and because of the presence of the soul, this whole body is animated, who is caged under the body and influences of the material mode of nature. By the karmic activity, there are resultant actions and reactions, and based on those actions and reactions, the soul seated in the body is continuously either suffering or sometimes so-called enjoying transient material happiness, and then again suffering, and like that is going through various births and deaths, to one body to the other body, and 8.4 million species of life. But if such soul inquires submissively, the power of this inquiry, if it is made to a person who is Acharya, Acharya mam vijanaye, Acharya mam vijanayan, navmanyeta karhechit. Krishna is saying such Acharya is to be considered as myself. So he is representing me. And one should not be envious of such Acharya. So these sages of Naimisharanya, obviously they are not envious. They are simply submitting themselves. Like Arjun was given this credit by Lord Krishna that because you are not envious of me, therefore I am going to tell you the deepest secret. Knowing that secret, you would not need to know anything more, and that secret is the most confidential knowledge. And then Krishna discussed devotional service with Arjuna. So we can see that here also these submissive inquiries to a bona fide spiritual master is very, very powerful. Therefore, dear devotees, when you see a saintly personality, it is better that we put our inquiries, which are genuine inquiries, before them in a submissive manner. So whenever we see our spiritual masters and we have these inquiries, we should not be hesitant. We should submissively inquire from them, and they would then be able to give us the knowledge in full and in truth. But those people who do not have faith in this kind of process, Krishna has said something else for them in chapter 9, Bhagavad Gita, verse number 3. Ashadhanam purusha dharmasya saparantapa aprapya mama nivartante mrityu samsara vartamani. Those who are not faithful in this devotional service cannot attain me, O conqueror of enemies. Therefore, they return to the path of birth and death in this spiritual world. Oh, such a powerful verse. Such a powerful verse. It all depends upon our faith. And Krishna is just giving that as indication in this verse that those who are not faithful in their devotional service. So let's say if somebody takes a guru for the sake of fashion or just for his own name and fame, oh, I'm disciple of such and such, So my name is attached to this Guru now. People will respect me. People will adore me. People will welcome me. I can get the access to so many facilities. I can earn my livelihood, etc. This could be some ulterior motives. To such, this devotional service is not attainable. People can think all they will get is some material benefit, but they will not get the divine. They will never be able to reach to the conclusions of devotional service, which is Prema Pumartham Mahan, which is to exhibit our love to the Supreme by serving Him. Those who are not faithful in this devotional service, they cannot attain me. O conqueror of enemies, you can conquer the enemy, but you cannot conquer me. Krishna is just indicating that you cannot conquer me without devotional service. We do not have faith in this process. What is the process? What is the process that Krishna is discussing here? Tadvidi pranipratena pariprashnena sevaya ubdekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshiniya. You have faith in the acharya, the bona fide spiritual master. If you have faith in them, then you can reach to me. Consider them as acharya. Acharya ma bhajaniyani. So you have to consider the acharya. Navamanyet karhichit. Namarta buddhya suet sarvadev mayo guruhu. That is the process Krishna has laid down. Bahunam janmanante jnanavan mam prapadyante vasudev sarvam iti mahatma sudurlabha. So such faith will bring us to the stage where we can then surrender to Krishna, and then we can come to the conclusion that sarvam, so the conclusions of all conclusions is to know Lord Krishna. Vasudev Sarvamiti. He is all in all, and one can surrender. He is the cause of all causes, and such a great soul is very, very rare. Therefore, we must also understand to have that kind of faith is also very rare. Not everybody gets to this stage. It happens only by after many, 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 many births. So those who are now devotees of Lord, who are trying to really practice this process of bhakti yoga against all odds, who are coming to this conclusion that yes, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they're trying to cultivate the mentality or consciousness of dependency on Krishna and the relationship one of servitorship, to serve Krishna and his devotees, of course. Such people, Krishna is saying, what is Krishna saying about these devotees? Such devotees are very, very rare. So by the causeless mercy of Lord Chaitanya and his ambassadors and his Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, all our lives have been made very, very auspicious. Samahatma Sudurlabha, because at least we have decided to walk that path, to walk the path of surrender, to walk the path of inquisitiveness, to walk the path of finding a guru who can hold our hand and guide us into the process of spiritual life. Such is beautiful process of a spiritual life. Ado Guru Ashrayam. That is the acceptance of a bona fide spiritual master. One should be very, very inquisitive to understand about the eternal duty, eternal activities. And Sat Dharma Prakshata. Sat means eternal and Dharma is characteristic. So one should be very, very eager to find out eternal characteristics. This is what Srila Prabhupada is saying by quoting that verse of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. We are not this body, we are the spirit souls, and our goal is not to chase the temporary happiness of this world, but our goal is to find the bona fide spiritual master, and then submit our lives. Submit our life. That is the goal. If we submit our lives to such a spiritual master and just follow his instructions, then our life will be very, very successful. So I'll finish this talk here, this session, and I would like to invite, if there's any questions or comments on this particular verse, which appealed to me about inquiry, which is to be done with the spiritual master. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Julie Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I'm happy to hear your voice after a long time.
I'm sorry, I've been busy, but I'm coming back little by little.
Thank you. You've gone on mute, yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, I had knee surgery, so he held me back a bit.
Oh, Krishna, we
To
pray
stay
for
up.
your well-being, yes.
Yeah, I'm all right now. I'm getting better.
Mm.
Anyway, Prabhuji, this thing, Krishna making the statement about those devotees are very, very rare.
Mm.
He's preaching that all of you should come to me.
Mm.
And we're all striving to do that.
Mm.
And how come he's saying they're very rare? I mean, he's predicting that that's human beings and we are sinners, and it's hard for us to cross over that threshold, I suppose. But isn't that he's encouraging us, and at the same time saying it's rare to reach there?
Mm.
So how does that fit with it? It's kind of a contradiction, isn't it? I'm not sure.
Okay, Mataji. So Krishna is like a father who let's say a father who has millions and millions and millions of children, and a father who desires all of them to come back to him, who's serving their needs, who's making programs and plans for their well-being, and doing anything and everything that is possible for him to reciprocate in a nice way. At the same time, and he keeps trying and he keeps trying and he keeps trying, but he sees only one or two is wanting to come back. And he says, oh, this is so rare, I try my hard, I try my best, but still so little people are coming back. So it does not indicate that it is not his desire. He's desirous to have all of us back, but only very few chosen are taking that path of Krishna consciousness because of the ignorance and the illusion of Maya. We know the root cause of that they want to enjoy separately from Krishna. And that is why it has happened. So when Krishna says that Bahunam Janmanam Ante Gyanvan Mam Prapatyante, he's saying because living entity is so bewildered by the transient happiness, he's not wanting to seek anymore about me. But if you find anybody doing that, that is a very, very rare phenomenon. And this is like 99.99% people are wanting to just enjoy the material world. Now we have to also understand this material world is only 30% of the total creation. And therefore, Krishna does have 70% people with him. But these 30%, of these 30%, they are very rare few who in some way, it's one thing. I hope I could give you the meaning of this verse. Okay, so there's another question I will take from the chat. Thank you for a very inspiring class.
Thank you, Haribol.
Julie Mataji, thank you. I hope that satisfies your inquiry.
Oh, yes. I mean, yeah, it is. We know it's difficult anyway, but I
It
thought
is difficult.
Krishna would say, it's not difficult, I'm
Krishna
waiting.
says that.
I'm
Krishna
waiting with open arms. It's not difficult. You just have to make that step forward.
Krishna says that. Krishna says that one who takes the association and shelter of me and my devotees, for them, this material world, which is like an ocean, becomes like a footprint of a cow hoof. That is what Krishna says.
Mm.
But it is applicable once we decide to surrender. You see?
Yeah.
Then it becomes easy, very, very easy.
Yeah, Haribol. Sweet story. Thank you.
Thank you. So the question from the chat, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for a very inspiring class. One most important point for consideration in a guru-disciple relationship is for disciples to take guru's instruction as our life and soul. And most importantly, the Maya, we fail to follow the regulator principle, the more guru suffers our karma. This we have to take very seriously. Srila Prabhupada says that a gentleman has given his promise that he will follow the vows of initiation. If such a person does not follow his vows of initiation, he is no more even a gentleman. What to talk about a great disciple? And therefore, it is apparent that for such disciple, Guru is no more obligated to save them from the pranks of Maya. They desire it, but if the devotee doesn't want to follow the instructions, what will Guru do? Because laws of karma will start working on such a soul. Application of the law of karma will begin. Whereas if one follows, Prabhupada says, if you just follow the 4 regulated principles and chant Hare Krishna in this very lifetime, guaranteed you will go back to Krishna. So that is the promise. And it's a very important point that you have noted, that taking initiation. So there are 2 things. Today's context was more about submitting ourselves and our inquiries to a bona fide spiritual master. And as a next step, when we are convinced and our faith is strong in that particular spiritual master, and we can go ahead and surrender ourselves by the process of initiation. Once you surrender, then you must follow the instructions of the spiritual master, which is what is being said in this particular conversation in the chat. One should take his instructions to be life and soul, like Srila Prabhupada did. Take the instruction of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj as his life and soul, and came to the Western countries in a very, very adverse and super difficult situations. So thank you for that beautiful comment. Okay, is there any other question or comment? So I would like to thank you all for your participation today, and would like to pay my obeisances to all the devotees here.
Kalpatarupasya kripa sindhu bhyabcha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Chaitanya
Prabhu
Prabhu
Nityananda
Nityananda
Shri
Shri
Advaita
Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Gaur
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna
Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Rama
Hare Ram
Rama
Hare
Rama
Ram
Hare
Ram Hare Hare.
Hare.
Wonderful class, Prabhuji.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Prabhuji.
Thank you.
so much.
Really nice.
Wonderful class.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you so
To
much.
everybody, wonderful association. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Haribol.